Assalamu alaikum students, how are you? Here is Usama Tahir and you're watching Learn English with Usama Tahir. We are back with a new video lecture and I hope you are going to love this one. Okay, what is so special in that method is that you are gonna learn any language, whatever you are learning the language, but in a silent way. But your teacher would be silent. You are not going to be silent, but your teacher would be silent, would going to be silent. He or she will not going to speak or speak very less, and you are the dominating person or individual in the classroom. You are going to be the centered figure, right? How exciting is that your teacher should be quiet and you are going to speak. This is how a new language teaching method I'm going to teach you. Well, it's not a new language teaching method, but I'm saying that because it's new here in my video lectures. Okay, so today I'm going to teach you the silent way of teaching language, a method devised by great mathematician Caleb Gategno. Okay, the most exciting fact about this method is it is devised by the great mathematician Caleb Gategno, who was a mathematician, not a linguist. A method in its color is not good. I think this color would be better. Okay, this method was devised by the great mathematician. So a mathematician come forward and devised a methodology, a teaching language methodology. That's surprising, that exciting, that a mathematician is working on the language. So let's move forward without wasting. Oh, sorry, spelling mistake. History. Sorry guys, I'm a human being and I make mistakes just like you. Okay, history. It was originated in 1963, a long ago, right? Method was given in his book Teaching Foreign Languages in School the Silent Way. So this method was given in his book. The book title was Teaching Foreign Language in School the Silent Way. So it is clear from the title that this method would be teaching of the foreign languages but in the silent way. So that method was given in that book. It was reaction to all other rigid and traditional language teaching methodologies. So we had so many methodologies like which were traditional grammar translation method, the old direct method, we had oral approach and situational language teaching, and so many. And it was the reaction. Every new methodology is the reaction to the previous approach or the methodology in language teaching. So it is clear. Next we have teacher role was minimized as possible, because teacher is not going to speak too much, or even teacher would remain silent as possible. And pronunciation, spelling. Now the question arises how the pronunciation or the spellings are expected to teach, and they were expected to teach through color charts and Cuisenaire rods. Okay, I'm going to explain them further in the upcoming slides. What are these and how can you teach pronunciation and spellings by staying quiet, by staying silent. What is silent way? So basically let's explain it. The silent way is a methodology of teaching language based on the idea that teachers should be silent as possible during a class, but learners should be encouraged to speak as much as possible. So as it is cleared with the name of the methodology, the teacher ought to stay silent and students would encouraged to speak as much as possible, right? As much as possible they are going to speak, and they are expected to speak and use their speaking abilities rather than just teacher is talking and giving guidance. It is not gonna give confidence to the students. But if students are expected to speak more than the teachers, it's like a new methodology. It's like something innovative on the hand of the learners, right? Next we have few principles. Like all methods we have principles, and the first principle in that method is teachers should concentrate on how students learn or how to teach. Okay, we repeat that sentence again. Teachers should concentrate on how students learn, not on how to teach. I mean the methodology is student centered. Teachers should concentrate, teachers should give importance to how students learn. What methodologies should be adopted that is feasible for the students, not for the teachers, right? Imitation and drill are not the primary means by which students learn. So according to this silent way, the drills and imitations are nothing are not good for learning, in simple words. What is the third principle? Learning consists of trials and errors, deliberate experimentation, like you deliberately experience something, experiment something, like in physics, chemistry, to find out what is going to happen. Suspending judgment, you make a judgment, then you suspend it after making the experiment if it goes wrong. And revising conclusion, then you make the conclusion. So this method revolves around like the mechanical or you can say chemical experimentation. Like you make an error, you deliberately experiment it, you suspend the judgment if it goes wrong, and you revise your conclusion that it is not gonna happen like that, but it is gonna happen like that, right? So teacher is not going to correct the errors, but students are going to discover their errors and re-evaluate themselves by their own end, because teacher is going to be silent. In learning, learners draw on everything that they already know, especially their native language. So their native language would be used as depending material on which the second language learning can depend on, right? The teacher must not interfere with the learning process, because teacher is going to be silent as much as possible, and the teacher must not interfere with the learning process. What is the learning process? Learning process is a phase where student is going to make errors, where student is going to discover grammatical rules, where students are going to make errors in pronunciation, make spelling mistakes, and then re-evaluate themselves and correct these mistakes. So all of such learning process would not be interfered by the teacher, but student would discover themselves by their own, because this methodology is based on the discovery theory given by Jerome Bruner. I have described this theory in my previous video lecture. You should watch my video lectures on a regular basis as well as in the arranged forms, because everything is going to be interlinked on that channel. So I cannot explain one thing again and again, but I can just give you the brief overview that Jerome Bruner said that learning is, you learn better when you discover things by your own. So this method has taken that theory so seriously and interfered it with their method silent way. And this theory also talks about discover your mistakes and discover your grammatical aspects, everything by yourself, because teacher is not going to interfere. Teacher should focus on more versatile and functional words than rigid vocabulary items. Because what are the functional words and the rigid vocabulary items? So teacher should focus the words that are practical, that are versatile, that are used in a daily life, and that perform some functions like give, take, open. These words are used in normally daily life. Teacher is not going to teach you the rigid vocabulary items that are used in the literature mostly, and that have no use in the normal life. I'm not going to give the examples here. You can find them out and you can think yourself. Like I am also following the silent method here, that you have to discover your own. Translation and rote repetition are avoided. Translations are not going to be there, and instead emphasis is placed on conveying meaning through students' perceptions and through practicing the language in meaningful context. So like any advanced method, or you can say like communicative language teaching, language is going to be taught in the context, right? There would be no bookish knowledge, there will be no rigid drills or repetitions or something like that, or translations or grammars. No, the language will going to be taught in the context with different activities. Only the difference is the teacher will stay silent as much as possible. It doesn't mean that teacher is not going to speak even for the whole lecture, but teacher will stay silent as much as possible. Let's integrate discovery learning theory, which I was talking by Jerome Bruner. We had a theory by Jerome Bruner states that learning is maximized when facts or anything are discovered by learners themselves. So too is happening in silent way. So same is happening in the silent way. So we can say that the silent way of language learning has integrated this discovery learning theory by Jerome Bruner. He was a psychologist, so he gave that theory, and this theory was used in different ways in the language learning, in the language teaching. So I told you that teacher is going to be, stay silent as much as possible. So how, pronunciations and sounds are going to be taught to students? So we have the color charts. What are the color charts? You can see here there are multiple colors, right? What are these colors for? Color chart in which each sound is depicted by particular color box. Okay, we have sounds like u, a, f, w, th, the, e, ua, ia, ea. I'm not going to explain each sound here, but if you're a linguistic student, so each sound is going to be depicted by each color, right? A teacher will say this is e, this is a, this is u, this is ra, this is ka, this is ga, right? For example, this is a, this is ga, this is ka, sounds like that. Okay, and the sound color chart consists of blocks of colors with one color representing one sound in the language being learned, that I told you. The learner uses this chart to help teach pronunciation. The teacher uses this chart to help teach pronunciation as well as pointing colors to help students with the different sounds. The teacher can also tap particular color very hard to help students learn word stress. So if the teacher tap like that, it means more stress, it means less stress. So stress will also be taught with this chart and the sounds as well. And in this methodology, students are not going to forget because of so much association with the colors. It's like the practical method, in my opinion. Sound charts to teach pronunciation. How? Now see it, exemplifying it. For example, a. Here you have the color. Now you're having the same color like in and, a and, same color. E, me, same color. Here we can say, for example, S is green, right? S is green, so here S is green. So for example, these two have same pronunciation, 2 and 2, so same colors. It's a little tricky, you're not going to learn it in 1 minute or 2, but I'm just giving you the overview. For example, ha here and ha here have the same sounds, ha, so same color, right? Ka has the same color, ka, and okay, ga and ga, same color. So students are going to learn that way, that this is the same color, this is ga sound. So it's like about the practice. Once you learn it, you're not gonna forget it. For example, pa is red, or these. Here we have one e, but the pronunciation is e, long vowel. Similarly in green, so same colors, red one, right? R, ra sound and the ra sound, the same color. So this is how you're going to learn the pronunciation and the sounds, which is quite exciting for the young learners. Following charts is used to teach students sounds and pronunciation, as teacher will stay silent as much as possible. So this is how they are going to learn. Once teacher tell everything about these sounds and colors, then students will discover new and new pronunciation patterns by themselves. Okay, color rods, what are it's very hard for me to pronounce it, so I'm trying to avoid myself, like Cuisenaire rod. If someone knows the correct pronunciation, please tell me. Cuisenaire rods, color rods, these are the color rods. Okay, this is the teaching material. Okay, but it's very exciting that how will you learn it, the new language, because these rods are mostly used in teaching teaching mathematical problems like arithmetic, like plus, minus, multiply and division. These 4 functions are usually taught by these color rods. These rods are useful in teaching numbers and colors. So you can teach colors that student, this is blue color, this is, I am color blind like that, this is blue, this is orange, this is kinda green, I suppose this is gray. I'm not good at colors, but I'm just making estimates about colors. These rods are useful in teaching numbers. So you can say that how many rods are there, 1 and 2. Students are going to, you can separate them and put them here and say these are 2 rods, there are 3 rods, 4 rods, 5 rods. This is how numbers can be taught. Later on, they can be used complex grammatical items. How you can teach grammatical items, like for example, there are 3 rods, one is blue, one is green and one is red. You can say the green is in between the red and the other I told you, I forgot. So like blue is between red and green rod. There is blue, this rod is between green rod and red rod. So now you taught the between preposition through this through these color rods. Activities by rods and some other activities we can perform. Teacher can say put the rod on the table or under the table. I mean, like the physical activity right now. Later on can use gesture to command other students as well. So once teacher tells one student, and later on he will stay silent as much as possible and use gesture to command other students as well to do the same function. That which function? Putting the rod on the table or under the table. Now structures and prepositions are taught like that. So the complete structure is going to be taught like that, like put the rod on the table or under the table. Now on or under is being taught, like the preposition is being taught through these rods. So like every method we have some demerits, we can say disadvantages or the shortcomings of each method. So do in this silent method, that this method is strange and scary to students. Why this is strange and scary? Because it's totally new. Teachers are not going to guide so much. Students have to discover themselves. Sometimes it is like a headache for students and they get frustrated. So it is strange and scary on the hands of the students. Challenging for some students because every student hasn't got the enough intelligence to interpret sounds with colors. It's little tricky. To interpret spellings, it's little tricky because students are going to discover themselves, so it's challenging. Students might feel that they are not getting enough feedback because teachers are not allowed to give positive or negative reinforcement so often. So students think that they are not getting enough feedback from their teachers, that whether they are doing well or whether they are doing average or whether they are doing poor. Okay, progress may be slower due to totally new method. Okay, this is the new method, new experimentation. The progress would be little slower at the beginning, so it discourages the students, and so this is one of the shortcoming of silent method. So what is the conclusion? As of 2000, the silent way was only used by small number of teachers. These teachers often work in situations where accuracy or speed of learning is important. Accuracy is important. Their working condition may also be challenging. For example, working with illiterate refugees. In such situation, when someone is illiterate, so sound are going to be taught with colors and with these teaching materials. However, the ideas behind the silent way continue to be influential, particularly in the area of teaching pronunciation. However, this method is not in use these days so often, but if you are going to teach the pronunciation or sound, then this method is quite feasible and usable and useful and famous. So I will keep on talking like that if you let me, but time is over. We need to go. So stay blessed, stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe, watch, like, whatever you can do, because I love you guys. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.